Welcome to my channel, Angelo's Tennis. Man, I want to talk about a book in this video, which I'm going to talk about. And if you're new to my channel, I know I just right now I just started it. I'm going to talk about this book a lot. This is the best tennis book you will ever acquire. I have read every tennis book. And I don't have all the books that I had. I actually lost them traveling at one point, but I still have them up here in the brain, in the mind. And this is the best tennis book. And there's some good tennis books out there, but this one will forever be the best tennis book. And I'm going to get into why that is never going to change. But there's also a cover. Who is that? I think that's Boris Becker. There's also a cover, a more common cover. It's green. It has Andre Agassi on it. And the name of this book is The Advanced Techniques for Competitive Tennis. And this book is not for, it's not for a, what's it called? A tennis player who is a wreck. It's not for a recreational tennis. I mean, it could be, but it's so deep and so simple at the same time. And depending on how your mind is wired, it may be harder for you to understand it. I know it took me a while. It took me years to go through this book to really get my mind right when it came to tennis. And it's called The Advanced Techniques for Competitive Tennis. It's by Richard Schonborn. He is the chief, or was the chief coach for the German Tennis Federation, training both Boris Becker and Steffi Graf in their formative years as tennis players. And he also has another book, which is the second best tennis book, which I'm going to do in another video. It's called Competitive Tennis for Young Players. They're both produced by, or published by Meyer and Meyer Sport. And another reason why I say this is the best tennis book, because there's so much confusion around tennis, so much nonsense, and there's nothing on YouTube. Almost nothing on YouTube about the what's in this book, which is fascinating to me, because it just goes to show you how the tennis industry is really set up. And one of the first things he talks about in this book is technique and its value in tennis. What is technique? And this book here, you can get it right now. I haven't checked, but last time I checked on Amazon, it goes up and down. I've gotten this book for $10. Sometimes it's $30, because there's so many out there in the market, depending on how supply and demand. So it's not even that expensive to get. So if you're watching this video and you really want to learn tennis, I'd get this book right now. I mean, for $20. Sometimes I'm like I should buy like 5 of them. That's how amazing this book is. And some other books, just to mention some of the other great books out there, are produced or published by the ITF. If you go to itftennis.com, that's where the really good books are. They publish some really great books. I don't have them on hand, but again, I've read them, I've mastered them over the years as a tennis coach and as a player. But getting into here, he says, what is technique? Technique is a specific sequence of movements or parts of movements used to solve movement-related tasks in sports situations. So just in that description, we see technique is seen in connection to movement. When you're training technique, there must be movement involved, and you see with tennis players and tennis lessons that balls being fed, and there's not that much movement, or there's not as much movement as it would be in the real game, which is why there's not much value in feeding and instructing tennis technique. A relevant requirement for technique emphasizes situational task-solving character. There must be a task to be solved. So the player is not focusing on what he's doing. He's focusing on where's he hitting the ball? What is he trying to solve in the match or in the game? Another misunderstood value in teaching and learning tennis that is still popular today, even today, after all these years of tennis being in existence. So he says that tennis technique is, let's see what he has here. If you're watching this video, you stick with this information because it is going to help you. I'm going to do a lot more videos on teaching tennis, and I think that some of this information is really going to help you no matter what level you are. It's going to help you get your mind right around tennis. Here it is, tennis technique. He has this image of what tennis technique really is. That first one there. Tennis technique on the one side, conditioning, endurance, strength, and speed on the other, and coordination as the bridge between the two. So what he's saying here is that you have the tennis technique on one side, and then on the other side you have conditioning, endurance, strength, and speed. So tennis technique, in order to develop tennis technique, you're conditioning the best tennis technique, or like a tennis technique that you would see like a Roger Federer, or just any fully developed tennis player. The conditioning has to be optimal. It has to be pretty good. You have to be able to run a mile, say, in like 8 minutes in a row. It doesn't have to be exceptional, as some people think. But you have to have some level of conditioning and endurance. Be able to last, because if you don't have these things, you're going to see the bridge, the coordination bridge is going to break down. You have to have some level of strength, and you have to have speed. And if you have all those things in an optimal way, your coordination, which is the bridge to tennis technique, will be maintained, and you will be able to play tennis and have great tennis technique. You can see there, if any of these things are not, you can see the bottom there where they're like broken down there, where he focuses on conditioning, endurance, strength. It's missing the speed, it's missing the strength. If any one of those are missing, the coordination bridge it's going to be broken down. So you could have great coordination, which is essential to being, we're going to talk about that too. How do you develop coordination? You could have great coordination, but if you don't have speed, endurance, conditioning, strength, then you're not going to have optimal. I mean, you see this with kids. Young kids have great coordination, but they don't have strength. Obviously because they're kids. And they can develop their strength, but it's not that important because they're just kids. So yeah, that is what we're going to get into with this book. There is amazing training guides that are I've almost never seen something this comprehensive in a book, where it teaches you how to train situational tennis. So I'm going to leave you there with that. I hope this finds you well. Subscribe to the channel if you've made it this far. Please like the video. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.